Michael and myself will go into questions and answers.
So that would depend on which emulsifier we selected for the customer. If they're targeting clean label, then we would formulate around what they considered clean label or not clean label. So if there was a specific ingredient that they did not want on there, then we would work to remove that and replace it with something that maybe they did allow, that they would allow on their label. Yeah, that's a good question. So, well, the release agent will, right off the bat, will typically have a much greater release strength. So it will stick less by using the release agent. The release agents also have greater polymer resistance. So it has a greater ability to maintain its original properties. That ultimately leads to you having to apply it less. So I think between the two, those two, it would ultimately lead to cost savings. So you'd have less waste from having greater release strength because more of your product will be coming out of the pan. And it also these release agents also help maintain the longevity of your equipment. So anything you'd spray it on, pans, belts, drive change, any surfaces, it will help increase the longevity of that equipment. The way that an emulsifier works in the cake, and this was explained a little bit earlier, but an emulsifier is a compound that contains both a hydrophobic and a hydrophilic end. The hydrophobic end does not like the water, so that tends to bind to the oil. The hydrophilic end does like the water, and that tends to bind to the water. This binding turns an unstable environment where the water and oil don't want to be, they want to separate from each other. And it creates a stable environment where they now become bound together. This stability is what's responsible for the majority of the benefits when using a cake emulsifier in baking. You start to see these benefits as early as in the mixer. You'll typically see maybe some reduction in mix time and more of a homogeneous mixed cake batter, and then you'll tend to see that in the baked product as well. You'll get you tend to get more volume, a soft, more uniform crumb structure, and you also get an increased shelf life. These emulsifiers work great in cakes because of the high water content and fat content. Now, if you didn't use them, you would just see something similar to what was shown in the video. You would get less even crumb structure, less volume, which less volume would lead to more of a dense bite, drier mouth feel, and then a decreased shelf life.
Okay. Yeah, just also add, if you don't use any shortening, that means you have shorter shelf life because the shortening actually helps with the shelf life. So that's also something to note.
Vantage Food is focused on providing product solutions. This includes providing clean label solutions as well. We currently have clean label options within our portfolio, but this is a moving target. Since the consumer demands are changing based off of the latest trends and research, and that means the target is always moving. And we're constantly just working on developing the next generation of clean label solutions. This is a good question because it's important that the right amount of release agent is evenly dispersed on the surface. The release agents can be brushed, dripped, or sprayed onto the surface. Some smaller bakeries might just brush it on, but as you get into the larger bakeries, they'll tend to automate this process. And here at Vantage, we design all different types of sprayers and applicators to meet the customer's needs, depending on how and where they're applying this release agent. So to answer the question, I would say spraying the release agent is best if it can be sprayed, depending on the viscosity. But that would cover the most surface area while using the least amount of product. And this can be done with great precision with the right equipment, which Vantage makes. No, they don't need to be put on the label because it's considered a processing aid, and processing aids do not have to go on the food label. Some companies choose to put it on there or choose not to put it on there. It's really up to how they want to put it on their label. Yeah, I mean, we have many shortenings and emulsifiers that that are vegan. And if there's an emulsifier that the customer had in mind, I'm sure we'd be able to develop a solution for that need. They mentioned this in the video as well. It's the clean label that term clean label is very ambiguous. So it's constantly changing based off of the customer's perspective and the current trends. Some customers will be more strict than other customers. For example, some might just exclude artificial flavors and colors. And then on the other hand, another customer might follow the pantry rule that Laura mentioned, where they will only use ingredients that are found in a home pantry. So it's very customer driven, and we've been handling that by just listening to the customer, understanding their needs, and then helping them solve them.
Yes, just also add to what Michael said. As he said, most customers actually, it's based on what customers want, and that's very difficult to achieve since this varies from one customer to another customer. And then if it's specific, it's a little more better, and you have what to work with. So I think most of the concerns are chemicals, where customers don't want to have any form of chemicals or preservative in the cakes, emulsifiers. So you have replacing PGME. Or then you can also use the pre-gels and then the hydrocolloids and protein isolates like whey and gluten. So these are some ingredients that could be used to improve, to make clean label cakes for your customers. But it's really depend on what they want at time. So just pay attention to what they're requesting for and then work with that. And I think Vantage are actually good at that. So yeah, working with them will be great.
Yeah, so I would say the most popular lecithins would be well, the plant-based lecithin, so canola lecithin, sunflower lecithin, soy lecithin. They're used pretty widely just across the entire baking industry, from my understanding.
Then eggs actually serve as good emulsifiers, just that because of the cost of cakes and then cost of production, if you're doing that in large quantity, you want to consider the lecithin or the whey protein, and then also the hydrocolloids. Or if it's for smaller baking industries or smaller cottage industries, eggs are still very good replacements for the emulsifiers.
Yeah, so I think that would go back to ultimately how the emulsifier works, how it creates that stability within your batter that ultimately leads to better volume, softer, more uniform crumb, and then the increased shelf life. And then all of that kind of comes together to give you a more desirable mouthfeel. It's probably going to be softer and just more desirable from that standpoint. And then over time, since it helps with the shelf life and the water retention, it will stay um, it will stay in that desirable mouthfeel range longer since it's staling slower.
Just also add more. It provides more uniform cells. Like you want to have good mouthfeel, so you have more uniform cells, and then a smoother mouthfeel, just as Michael said, and then less tunneling. So that's one of the major things it does. Thank you so much, Michael, for all the answers you gave to all the questions. Thank you, Vantage Food, for sponsoring this seminar. And this recording will be available next week on the Baker Academy. And be sure to check back. And also, if you have more questions, or you want to contact us or ask, have any difficulty you want to solve or problem, you can just always reach out to us on BAKERpedia professional page on Facebook and also on LinkedIn, and we're sure to answer your questions. And yes, for more questions or problems, please be sure to reach out to us. Thank you so much for your time, and thank you for listening, and thank you so much, Vantage Food, and thank you so much, Young and Slaw, and have a great day.